Hey everybody, this is Mr. Swan with a tutorial for you, or a tour of Lesson 1, all the activities. I'm going to be just showing you some brief things about what you can do to make sure that you're successful in completing the activities in Lesson 1. So, you've noticed, hopefully by now, that all the activities are labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that is the order in which you need to do these activities. One builds upon the other. Of course, you have already clicked on number 1 because that is the introduction to lesson 1, a user guide. That's what this is, the video. Number 2 is images from the transatlantic slave trade, a virtual gallery walk. You're going to have to do that before you can move on to 3. Likewise, you have to do number 3 to get to 4, and of course, you have to do number 4 to get to number 5, which is the reflection and assessment piece. So let's go back up to number 2, images from the transatlantic slave trade, a virtual gallery walk. This is basically to get your brain thinking about the transatlantic slave trade, and you're going to look at some images. So let me open this up and show you how this works. Is actually a test quiz function of Schoology. This is not a test or quiz. I'm just using the test or quiz as a structure to have you go through, look at some images, and contemplate what they mean to you. So I'm just going to go ahead and start a new attempt. The directions are here. You ought to read those very carefully. But let's start a new attempt. You get unlimited attempts with this. But you'll go through a series of images. Here we have an image that you should look at and think about, and you're going to answer these 4 questions. What do you notice about the image? What do you think this image depicts? Describe how the image makes you feel. What does the image tell you about the transatlantic slave trade? When you answer these, please put number 1, then your answer, number 2, then your answer, and so forth. And you'll have to answer them all. Now, obviously, I'm just giving you a tour, so I'm just going to enter number 1 for the rest of these images. But you see, some of these images are rather drastic, even shocking. Just a few of them. So once you're done, you're satisfied with your answers, you click on Submit and ask you, are you sure you want to submit? You say, yes, I do. And then you're done. Now, here's where you review the answers, if you so desire. But essentially, you are done with that. And now you can move on to the next number 3. And that you'll have to go back up. You can't see it in my browser, but I'm sure in your browser it will show you up here that you can go back to the main page. So that was number 2. We've completed that. Now number 3 is the transatlantic slave trade and introduction. And this is really the essential material for lesson number 1. There is a reading, there is a video to watch, there are notes for you to take, and all of these, all of the reading, there's only one reading, and the video lead you to being able to engage in the lesson 1 discussion, as well as the lesson 1 reflection and assessment. So let's take a look at the transatlantic slave trade and introduction. And again, you must view the item. That's all you have to do. Of course, in your case, you're going to want to read the article, read the directions, watch the video thoroughly. So let's click on number 3. So read the directions thoroughly. This is an introduction to the lesson. There are some questions, 2 different sets of questions that you will want to consider and take notes about. And then in highlight it says, be prepared to read the essay, which is this, and watch the video, which is further down, multiple times. Take advantage of the fact that you can pause the video and replay it as much as you need to. And I recommend taking notes on Atlas's reading, that is the essay, before watching Green's video as a strategy to better determine the similarities and difference between both sources. So that's the one thing you're going to be doing. So here is the essay that you're going to be reading. And then further down, there is a video that you're going to watch. Now, when you watch this video, it's from John Green. He does the Crash Course series. Many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with John Green and his Crash Course series and history. However, if you're not, know that he speaks really fast. And if you want to be able to slow him down, actually, you can. Let's start the video.
Hi, my name is John Green. This is Crash.
All right, let's pause him. He talks fast, but what you can do in YouTube is click on the settings gear icon and go to speed and click on 0.75 and then play them again.
Talk about slavery. Slavery is not funny.
Now, admittedly, he sounds kind of slow in that case, but for some of you, that might be much easier to watch him. Once you've read the essay, watched John Green, taken really good notes on the similarities, the differences, and also the answers to some of the essential questions, then you're going to move on to a discussion forum, which is a link here to the discussion forum, but it's also in the main page. So the bottom line is you're taking notes about the similarities and differences between Green's video and David Etlis's essay, as well as answering the 3 essential questions for lesson number 1. So now that we've viewed it, we can go back. And now we can go into the lesson 1 discussion forum. And here we have to post a comment, we have to reply, and here are the directions. You know, you've read the essay, you've watched Green's video. I'm recommending that you copy and paste your answers to these questions so that you can contribute. Here is a rubric. It's worth 10 points. So, contribution of a question on a question, and you answer a peer's question. That's 5 and 5. 5 plus 5 equals 10. So I'm going to write a comment, and I'm just going to say comment. And that's my way of posting that. So now I go back, and there's, of course, right now I'm the only one that is posted. But I'm going to go ahead and reply because that's what it requires me to do. And I'm going to say reply. You would reply to your peers in a way where it demonstrates that you've read what they've posted and you've thought about what they posted and you're commenting on it. So I will post the reply. And now that allows me to move on to the final activity in the lesson. And I'm going to have to backspace to get to it. All right, number 5, lesson 1, reflection and assessment. So this is the assessment piece. And again, this comes in a test quiz form. You've watched the Crash Course in History. You've read the brief overview of the transatlantic slave trade by David Etlis. Now you're going to write your own response to these questions in your own words. And by in your own words, I do not mean in your opinion. Answer the questions based on what you have read and watched. You should reference both sources in your responses. Answers should be in sentence form. So I will do these. And I'm going to just put a 1 in all these because I want to be able to submit. Notice that there's a show the rubric. And the rubric says responds directly to prompt, uses evidence from sources, answers are factual and logically organized. They're worth 6 points each. So this is the biggest scored activity in lesson 1. So let's click on this, and we'll hit our submit button. And once you've done that, you've completed lesson 1.